So, the importance of recovery and listening to your body. Such a simple thing, yet so many of us can't seem to do that. When I say listen to your body, we've all had those little tweaks, those little injuries that pop up, and we just kind of push it in the back of our mind because we can still train. We can still do the same workout, but we know that we're going to have to take a break at some point, or this little tweak is going to become worse if we don't stop. But we're so short-term minded when you're in that mindset, and then you just keep pushing. And you can get away with it a little bit, but at some point you need to fully recover. And that's where I went wrong. So I've been training for about 10 years now. I can't believe it's been that long. Time is one of those weird time warp things going on, because it makes me question how long a year is, and if a year is a long time, or if 10 years is a long time, and then if life is even that long. That's the ultimate question, really, when I started thinking like this. But anyway, so it starts off with a little bit of a lower back tweak, and then you say, okay, maybe I won't do legs next week, because it usually happens from legs on a squat, or usually a squat. And then by the next week comes, you feel good again. So then you do the same workout, and you might even progress. But deep down, I don't think your body's fully recovered, even if you feel like you're ready. I think you need to take longer than you think for a little fine tuning to really be dialed in within the body, within the muscle cell. I think the little guys inside are still working on repairing, if that makes sense, that type of analogy. But so I just trained. I did chest, shoulders, and tricep. Right now I'm doing 3 sets of chest, 2 sets of shoulders, 2 sets of triceps. And I'm only training at an estimated 70% effort, because I want my sternum to heal. I want my neck to fully heal. It's the left side of my neck. It's I think it's always been that side for whatever reason. You just end up straining it, and then you keep training, and then it gets worse. And then you get to where I'm at now, where many other people are at, where they're forced to just stop, where they're just gotten to a point in their mind where they're hesitating on the workout during the sets because they don't know what's going to happen if that thing is going to go and then break off or something, or become worse. So I'm in that phase right now, recovering and thinking long-term, not short-term. It's a key thing to not force your mind, but you have to reconfigure your mindset and your perception of how long you've been training for and what the next couple of weeks are going to do for the next 26 weeks or the next year of your training. So instead of thinking, I want these next 2 weeks to be muscle building, you can think of the next 6 months or a year, and then say, okay, I need to take the next couple of weeks off to recover, maintain my muscle mass so that I can take advantage of the next however many weeks, 20, 30 weeks. That will be really good, non-hesitating sets, because your body is actually fully recovered and nothing is irritated. So today I only trained at estimated 70%, give or take 5%. So what does that look like? On a free weight incline bench press, if I normally would do 155 pounds for however many reps, 10, 15 reps, depending upon how slow I'm doing it or how fast I'm doing it, then I'm doing 105 pounds or 115. Even 115 is not too far away from my main working set weight. So what I did today was I dialed it back even more, just so I can get less pressure on my sternum. Because when I say 70%, I don't mean if you're doing a set of 6 on a normal workout to failure, it doesn't mean use the same weight and just dial it back 2 reps if that's 70%. Your 4 reps would be 66%. So let's just say 4 reps. It's still a shit ton of force and pressure on your body. So I think it's ideal to dial the weight down 70% and train 70% of the amount of reps that you normally do. So maybe it's even less than 70%. Maybe I'm only training 60% or 50%. But I think dialing back the weight is key. Even if you only train, or even if you are gonna go 70%, it's still a good amount of effort, but I think dialing back the weight is key. A little bit less pressure on your chest or whatever body part you're doing. For me, it's just my sternum needs to heal. So I'm correlating that with too heavy of pressure on my sternum. So I'm dialing back the weight on that. And then I'm doing a chest fly on a machine, a pec fly. Just going by feel. I'm not really going by trying to progressively overload with that mindset because I'm not doing it anyway. So I'm just kind of going by feel. And then I do a dip. The weights aren't perfectly 70% or 60% effort for everything. I'm just going by feel. I'm leaving 5+ reps in the tank. I'm not going less than 5 reps in reserve, if we're going to use that terminology. But I'm leaving plenty of effort in the tank. So getting a bit of a pump, a bit of a stimulus to maintain my muscle mass. That's really the goal and the mindset that I'm going into these workouts with. I'm not going into these workouts with I'm gonna kill this shit and destroy each set. I'm not going into it. So I've had to change my mindset. And that's what people are gonna have to do, or whoever's watching. If you train all out failure and you wanna fix injuries, you're gonna have to dial it back. And this is something that is very, very tough to do for someone that wants to push and loves the push and likes the fight. It's really the fight and the struggle that we like. And so I just lost my train of thought for a sec. Oh, right. So the type of lifter who trains to failure and who's been attracted to lifting with that failure mindset, I'm going to push it to the limit, it's going to be very tough to pull back. And at least for me, I didn't listen to my body many times. And now that I'm 25 years old, I've finally kind of accepted the truth that if you fuck up something enough, it won't go back to normal. So, for example, if you strain your neck enough, at some point it's not just a strain that you can heal, it won't go back to normal. So I don't know if it's because I've had a certain amount of strains there, like in my neck, or this can go for any body part. But for me, it just happens to be neck, chest, ankles, knees, hips are all fine. It's either neck or back. The sternum thing's a new thing. But that's what happens when you do full body training and you're trying to do chest every other day, even though it's only one set. Doing a max effort dumbbell bench press, and then 2 days later doing max effort dips, and then 2 days later doing max effort dumbbell bench press again, and do that repeatedly, the sternum takes a little bit of a beating. And I'm not bouncing the weight. So if anybody is wondering, I'm not bouncing the weight that's causing the trauma to my sternum. It's almost like the muscles, the pecs insert, the origin is on the sternum. It's almost like it's being pulled too hard because the muscle attaches to a tendon and then the tendon attaches to the bone. bone being the sternum. It's almost like the bone is being pulled too many times, with too much force, too repeatedly, too frequently. So I finally had to come to the acceptance that if you don't recover and you strain something enough and injure it enough times, it won't go back to normal. So if anybody who's watching is 17, 18, 19, 20, who has these fucking strains in their neck or back, just rest or train sub-maximally, like I was just talking about, 60, 70%. Don't be in such a rush to progress. You might even progress faster if you dial it back once in a while, because the body's clearly not recovering. Sometimes this takes some time to think about, but if the body's hurt, it's obviously not recovering. And sure, you can get, the muscle could be recovering, but you're using shit form, so the tendons are getting beat up way faster. And if you just did proper technique, then you can train and keep going without getting hurt. But even if you train perfectly, if you do too much, you're gonna have an injury of some kind. So first the body will knock on the door and say, hey, we're here. And it's up to you whether you're gonna answer the door or not. You look through the whatever that little hole is called, you look through, you see the injury, it says, hey, we're here. You might have to just, can we come inside for 1 or 2 days? And if you say no, then they're gonna come back 2 days later, 3 days later. Not saying this is perfect correlation to when the injury is actually gonna come back. It's probably a little bit longer than that. When you train that body part again, it could be 3 days later when you just do a next training session for something else. Or you might just wake up one day and that thing is worse. But it'll knock on the door again a couple days later. And again, it's up to you. You want to let him in for a couple days? At some point, he's just going to break in. And then he's going to stay for 2 weeks. Because you didn't listen to him and you didn't let him in. So I think that's a pretty good analogy. I just made that up now, but I think that's a pretty good one. So let the injury in. Let him in for 2 days. It's all right. It's not a big deal. Think long term. I'm leaving this video off with one thing. You have to reconfigure your mindset to think long term. And this is incredibly tough to do. It took me 10 years to do this. All these little strains, and then you just keep pushing because you're like, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, whatever, you just keep pushing. And you can keep pushing and you keep getting stronger. It's just not that big of an issue yet. But at some point, when you lift long enough, it becomes an issue. And you start to have this different perspective of life and the importance of just feeling good and not having any injuries and being pain-free. When you're around 20 years old, you don't give a fuck. You just want to keep pushing and just go to the gym. You just want to go to the gym. You don't care. You don't have that long-term mindset yet. And hopefully, this video can help somebody who's about to strain their neck for the 5th time and really fuck it up. Maybe they'll take a couple days off from the gym and it'll recover.